Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the Marvel Legends Spider-Man retro carded, whatever, there's a million waves of these things now, but this is the new version of Scarlet Spider on the old animated series style card, which I think is one of their better cards. It's up there with the top ones, I think. Done a good job. So if you guys like the carded figures, this is one you might want to pick up. And Hasbro figures tend to look better in package than out of package, so you might be in luck with this one. Now, this figure, I know a lot of people are very into it. Some people are saying, you know what, it's still not quite there for me, and I'm going to give you guys all the information you need to decide once and for all if you want to track it down or if we need to keep waiting. So let's go ahead and get it off the stand and take a closer look. Okay, before we get into the figure, I do want to give you a quick rundown of my package, and like I said, it's really, really good packaging. I love the artwork, I love the coloring, I love everything about these Spider-Man packages. They're great. They're so great, in fact, I get to use them as reference images. I don't remember which guy it is that's doing the artwork, and I don't know if it's always the same guy, but if it's the one guy that I was following that does the artwork, he does a really, really good job, and it's probably the same guy because it looks like it's the same artwork. Anyway, very nice artwork, and it's way better than the figure. Unfortunately, we'll just get that out of the way. The colors on here are way better than the colors on here. That's a downside. We're gonna ignore that. We're gonna assume you've accepted those two things for the review, okay? I'll include those in the aesthetic rating, but we're just gonna kind of set that aside. Now let's go ahead and do a height measurement. This guy stands just shy of 6.5 inches. That's gonna put him right around 16.5 centimeters. Here he is up against Papa Darwin. They are very close to the same size. He's just a touch taller. Okay, so this guy uses a lot of the parts we've already seen, but he does have the new Scarlet Spider parts, so that's a good thing. And I will do a quick question of the day. Are you guys tired of Hasbro giving us new, better versions of figures that are still very lacking despite being new molds? Because I am quite tired of that. This figure is a perfect example. It's a really good Scarlet Spider in so many ways, but then Hasbro just Hasbro'd real hard in a couple spots, and there's plenty of room for improvement, is the unfortunate thing. And so I have a feeling they're going to make another one at some point, and they could do it pretty soon and still get people to want it. But we'll see what you guys think by the time we get done with this review. So let's go ahead and start with the aesthetic. Like I said, reds are all wrong, blues are all wrong. What else is there? Well, the head, I think, is one of the best Spider-Man heads they've done. I really, really like the eye shape. They nailed that. The overall head shape is much better than we've seen lots of times. He doesn't have that weird pinched thing going on. It's an overall really good head shape, and they nailed the eyes. They are painted on as far as I can tell. If they're sculpted, it's the tiniest sculpt, and it feels to me like it's just the paint difference. So good luck, I guess, getting the paints on there and having yours be right. Mine's almost perfect, so maybe they're all like that, so that's awesome. But it is not sculpted, so be aware of that. Downside to the head, though, is there's no underneath part. Like, they gave you no chin, no jaw at all, which is weird because he can't really look down anyway. Like, that's as far as he can look down, so they definitely could have filled that in. Because right now, when he looks up, it's just like a face mask. Hasbro sucks so bad, honestly. Like, what the heck? Why is it hollow? Why is it completely hollow when he can't even look down? Super unfortunate. But other than that, I love the head sculpt. It's great. The hoodie sculpt, it's a pretty good thing overall. I like where they're going with it. The hood is connected to it in the back, but that's fine. It sits nicely. No up hood option, obviously, because Hasbro is going to Hasbro. The sculpt is okay, but it does demonstrate one of the big problems with this figure, and I'll bring the packaging back to show you. Now, of course, this is a posed thing, but still, tiny waist, broad shoulders, big shoulders, V-shaped torso. None of that here. This, especially with this overlay hoodie, he's got a very big torso, lower torso, narrow chest, low tiny shoulders. This isn't helping. It's hiding it kind of because of the contrast, and you're not noticing the shoulders as much, but as soon as you look at the shoulders, they're just way too low and small. And considering this is a hoodie and you can still see his pecs through it, he is ripped from front to back, but there's no there's no size anywhere else. It's a strange thing. And if he had bigger arms, bigger upper arms, it would have looked so much better. I'll Photoshop it for you guys. But it's almost good. But having these skinny arms, especially the shoulders, and then being too low, it's not as good as it could be, even close. They could make it look so much better so easily. Printing is good. Little white ties on there looks nice. Like, it's definitely going to look good if you don't look too close at it or don't care about the anatomy. So there's that. Belt, that's what you want the belt to look like for this guy. I mean, could it look a little less toyish? Sure, but we're still talking about Hasbro. So that's fine. I like the belt. The belt's fine. These guys, again, soft sculpt, kind of like the belt, but they look like what they're supposed to, so that's fine. His little ankle pouches, the most manly of pouches, by the way, if anybody was wondering. He does have nice paint job on there, and they're sculpted well enough, so I can't complain. The details are fine. So aesthetically, other than those issues I mentioned, which are obviously issues, but it's going to be up to you to decide if you care, this is the best version of Scarlet Spider that Hasbro has made. Will the body hold up? I don't know. We're going to get to the articulation, but aesthetically, I don't mind it other than the low shoulders, low tiny shoulders. I could live with the rest. It's okay. Aesthetically. So that's good. I'll give it an overall rating of, I'm only going to do 7 because of the colors being wrong and the shoulders being too low. They need to fix those damn shoulders. They haven't done it in forever, but it's still solid for sure. Okay, now as far as the accessories go, not real thrilled with this. We only got the 2 fist hands, the 2 thwip hands, and the 2 wall crawling hands. Is that technically enough? Yeah, but I mean, it's not exactly like they're giving us a ton of stuff here, so I'll be generous and say 7. It's fine. It's not something you can actually complain about, but you definitely could have been happier with more. So there's that. Okay, like, by the way, can I just mention, it is Spider-Man, and he has this kind of thing going on a lot. You know? Or even look at that, his ties. They could have even given an alternate hood with the ties blowing, or an up hood, or like there's so many options they could have done, which they didn't. So yeah, I'm being generous with a 7. All right, time for the articulation. Some of you are gonna love some of this. Some of you are gonna hate some of this. Okay, so the head, we have this, it's this body with the neck cut out. And the ball peg that Hasbro has not figured, like, the fact that they did this for a neck tells you everything you need to know about Hasbro. They're not good at making toys, making action figures. They're great at kids' toys, I guess. That is... Look at that. It's the worst neck I think I've ever seen. And they went with it again. And then they made the hollow head. So it's like, what were you planning on people doing with this? It leans side to side a little bit, so I'll give them that. It barely leans down. That's the worst double ball peg in the history of double ball pegs. It's nuts. He does have a butterfly joint, but it doesn't do anything. Like, it almost literally doesn't move, unless mine are just stuck. Let's see. All right, this one's moving a little bit, so I guess they're stuck. Let me know, are yours super tight? But still, very little range, just enough for some nuance posing, not much really happening there. Shoulders, standard ball hinge. They go up better than horizontal. That's a good thing, no complaints there. Bicep swivel is a bicep swivel, that'll work, but what they're doing with their bicep swivels is just, oh man, you can see the shelf of the plastic. Like this bicep area, this whole, the tricep, bicep, the upper arm is not really sculpted to fit over that tiny little shoulder. So you see a big shelf of plastic where the joint is, and it's just a flat cut. It's so lazy. Make the shoulders bigger and sculpt the biceps to fit up against them. That's just lazy and it looks bad for no reason. Other than they don't want to put effort into sculpting articulation. Double jointed elbow works nicely. It's a good looking elbow. Can't complain there. It is pinless, so if you like that, you get that. These are separate floating pieces, though it doesn't really matter. Wrists have a swivel, of course, and a hinge. He has the lower hinge down here, which actually for this sculpt works because they put the outer hoodie on there. So he does get his lean still. You still get the diaphragm joint at the top, which will allow him to lean side to side above this joint. And it does rotate, of course, so that's good. But you still run into the problem of when he's in a leaning forward pose, he can't lean to the side. He can only lean forward and back. He can't lean really to the side or at an angle at all. So this combination still doesn't work. This should be, instead of a hinge, or at least in addition to the hinge, there should be a ball peg in here to let the whole thing turn. This is floating, so that's nice. Hips are on horrible hinged ball pegs. Horrible, horrible drop-down hinges. They're floppy and too stiff at the same time. They are a nightmare on this figure. They have very little range. You'll see what I mean. In some ways they're tight, and in other ways they're just a floppy mess. Horrible design, doesn't need it, and they don't even work well. Like, he can't even do the splits. In order to do the splits on these guys, you have to rotate their leg all the way around like that. Which, yeah, you can do it, You don't need to be able to do that though. It doesn't need to break the sculpt, and you don't need to bother trying to twist everything around in crazy directions using these floppy joints. They could have done way better with a regular joint. So that sucks. Floppy, horrible hinged ball pegs. Everything that's wrong with that joint is an example, or is exemplified by this figure. But you do get the range, technically, if you're willing to fiddle with it and not worry about the looseness. So I guess that's still okay. Thigh swivel is there. Double jointed knee works nicely. You can see the proportioning is still off, but it's not too bad. You would really want this to be, the bottom of his foot should be in line with the top of this piece here. So you should be able to draw a line right there and have them be even. It's a little long, but not bad. So I'll take it. Double jointed knee works nicely. You do get a boot cut if you like that. Then the ankles, I'm guessing, still work great. So yeah, they go all the way back, all the way forward. Ankle rocker is solid, not even too steep. I like that. Toe hinge is in there for those of you who like the toe hinge. It's all right. It's in the right spot. It's rounded at the bottom. That's all good. It's not super floppy even, so that's fine. I'll take it. For a Marvel Legends figure, that is fine. So, his articulation is certainly not as good as it could be. A few different joints in the torso and neck would do this thing wonders. Adjusting the hips to not have this crap would be great, but is it functional as is? I would say enough. There's no reason it needs to be the way it is. That was a choice Hasbro made that didn't need to happen, but it is what they chose. So will you be able to do what you need to do with it? Probably. Hopefully yours isn't loose, and hopefully you can work around the looseness, but it'll function well enough. So I'll give them a 7. This is supposed to be the best articulated body they've ever done. It's not even close. Like, I still think the Armored Daredevil is one of the best examples of good articulation that isn't all this over-complex crap, but whatever. You'll be able to get the job done. So, articulation's gonna get a 7. So time for the final verdict on this release. Is it the best Scarlet Spider to date? Yeah, probably. Is there plenty of room for another one to be the best very soon? Yeah, it wouldn't be hard at all. Honestly, there's a few tiny changes they could do in the articulation, and then a few tiny changes they could do in the sculpt. Fix the tiny low shoulders, and your figures look 100% better immediately. Like, it's such a stark difference between a superhero with a V-shaped torso and a superhero that doesn't have one. It's such a difference. So yeah, it's a solid figure. I'm gonna give it an overall 7 out of 10. Lots of room for improvement, easy improvement, but it is probably good enough. So there it is, guys. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, a thumbs down will do. And if you haven't subscribed, you should. I have new videos every day but Wednesday normally. I'll get back to that soon. I'm still working on the remodel, almost there. And I do have thousands of videos already on the channel, so make sure you come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.